enough drive space on the machine at the University of Texas.
Oh, shit.
I shudder to think what he deleted. Phoenix had a habit of indiscriminate deletion.
Yes.
Yep.
We got it.
Great.
I'm still loading her in. It's a damn big file.
On the same day, the Australian Federal Police had their own breakthrough and finally managed to record the data coming from both the hackers' computers.
The data intercepts had been done before, but at very low modem speeds. The problem was, how do you intercept the higher speeds? And the answer, like most other things, is simple, but somebody's got to have enough genius to figure out how to do it, which essentially they doubled the modem speed and were able to intercept it. You got to give the Australian Federal Police a lot of credit because the rest of the world didn't know how.
Over a period of 6 weeks, we captured every keystroke that they made, every word that they'd said.
No, that's the wrong password file structure. You have to use FTP instead.
Having Zardoz meant that almost every computer we accessed was up for grabs.
I'm in.
We were already on a bit of a frenzy at this stage, but Zardoz put a few more drops of blood in the water.
I did find what they're up to quite a concern, mainly because they were messing around in areas that they shouldn't have been. And it meant, in many cases, that the systems operators had to put up stronger firewalls. And I think at that stage, although maybe it didn't occur to me immediately, but it really was the start of the breakdown of the internet concept of openness.
When you start out by hacking a number of universities and then you move up in the world to NASA, after that, what is there to do? The highest pinnacle is to break into the machines of the security experts. And that's what Eugene Spafford was.
Spaff was very, very anti-hacker. Very lock 'em up and throw away the key. And we thought that he needed to be taken down a peg or two.
I didn't set out to become an enemy of that community, but I also believed it was important that we start changing our behavior because computers were being used in more important places.
Tell me what you're looking at.
Phoenix and I talked through quite a lot of ways of getting into Spaff's machine, and eventually one of them worked.
I'm in.
There were a number of groups and individuals trying to break into my system, Phoenix being one of them. I didn't know what they were after, but kept the connection a little bit so that I could get an identification of where it was coming from, and then I disconnected the network. I'm a firm believer that one of the things that makes hacking so possible and so widespread is that the people doing that only see the computer and forget that on the other end there are people. Information about people, people who have their own dreams and who can be hurt by what's done.
I originally came into this with a pretty high opinion of these kids. I mean, I was fascinated with this culture. It was a subculture that I really kind of identified with. I mean, you know, there's this spirit of adventure that is part and parcel of hacker culture. But what I saw over the next decade is a lot of malicious behavior, and I began to realize that, you know, there were some spoiled brats out there that were doing real damage.
John Markoff reported that a worm had been coursing its way through various U.S. computer systems. In fact, what had happened is the Australians had been so active, had been breaking into so many machines in such a short period of time, that it looked like a worm, but in fact, it was people.
Yes, John Markoff, please.
This is John Markoff.
Mr. Markoff.
I got a call from a young man who said he was from Australia, and he was very upset that he had been sort of confused with the machine, and he was also trying to make the point that he was upset with some of the computer security people who were at odds with the hacker community. Because I was able to confirm the attacks, I ended up writing about it.
The first article stated that they had no idea who we were or where we were from, and suddenly the next article spoke of hackers from Australia. I was horrified, but to be honest, I was a little bit chuffed about the New York Times showing some interest in us. I knew that this article wouldn't go unnoticed. It really felt like the beginning of the end.
I just really need you to hide this.
Well, I'd just woken up with a full bladder and went to have a piss when the light goes off in the bathroom, and I thought, whoops, here we go. One thing the police didn't find was my modem. Dad had become so proficient at hiding it that even the Australian Federal Police couldn't find it. Number one I was involved in. They presented a lot of the evidence that they had from telephone intercepts and showed me logs of computers that had been broken into. Captures of the actual sessions occurring, asking if I was responsible for that. I put my hand up to pretty much everything they put in front of me. And I think a part of me recognised that morally I had broken the law, and I needed to face the consequences.